Well, folks, here we are at Dee Dee and Allison's place. They're a real nice couple, and we're heading up to get the cattle. And you can tell they got a lot of grass in that country, and that's kind of a typical road, so the cars aren't real big. And it's interesting because everybody out in the country kind of gets it, and they pull over to the side or work it out, you know. But they do some logging in that country. You can see patches where they'd logged over the years, and it looked like they'd clear cut it, and then it comes back. And this grass is so good. This is big horse country and cattle country, and the horse deal especially, because evidently it's kind of like Lexington area. It's really good for them. This lady's a veterinarian, really committed to riding well. Did a great job. And then you've got a bunch of redneck Herefords, and they use hot wires for just about everything. You don't see a lot of fences built. And so the cattle are on to the hot wire deal, and they're also on to knowing when you don't have a hot wire. So this is a interesting little lane here. I don't know if it's an old creek bed or what, but that's going to the barn. So it's a little different over there, you know. But it's pretty fun. In fact, it's a lot of fun. We got some rain, but pretty much real nice weather.
I also wanted to take a minute to thank Leedy. She's the gal in the straw hat there. She's kind of like a ghost. She would disappear whenever the camera would be out, but I caught her on a couple of brief shots. But she was my main contact putting this clinic together, and she deserves a lot of credit. We really appreciate her and hope to see her. She likes to travel over here, so we're hoping that she'll come see us at some point. And if you look right behind there she is on her good-looking bay horse. She's a heck of a hand. Thank you, Leedy.
Okay, now here's the biggest mistake everybody makes. When you're right-handed and you rally, first mistake, you look. When you look, you're going to die. Here's the second mistake everybody makes. You rally, you go like this. So now you just turn your horse sideways, and it hurts your horse's shoulder. Are you ready? I do it good. I do. And look down. See how you turn left? You do not turn left. Your reins are too long. Undally. So the way I learned is I point my coil straight, and I learn to hold my coil straight, then I don't turn my horse. Okay? Okay, galley. You can turn left. You're going to get hurt really bad. You cannot turn left. Galley. Go ahead. The feet stay. That's acceptable. Here you have it. Okay. Now you understand your horse's head goes up when you get out. It's not supposed to go up.
Tiene que comenzar a ver.
You have a horse's head coming up? Okay. All you have to do is learn to keep your hand here and not here. That's all you have to learn. Because you have to know when a horse throws their head up, they can't see under here. You cannot see under the jaw. Okay, the head goes up, the cow is here. They can't see it no more. Now it gets scared. The head has to stay low enough to see. It has to down on the bottom. Always aim for here, not here. Okay, your hand has to end up here. I'll show you why. Now watch. Tell you to open your hand. That's the left side. Open your hand. That's what you have to know how to do. Okay, now just close your hand. That's what you need to know. The hand has to be right there. Back here, you got this much room. Let me show you what happens. Now watch. If you have your hand here, this is the common finger that gets cut off. And the cow jumps, it holds it here, and now your finger's underneath the rope. Watch. If your hand is here, it can't go under the rope. Okay? The reason why his rope has an 8, because he swings too fast. If I swing fast, the rope closes.
Si tu vas trop vite, le...
If I swing slow, the rope stays open.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Believe it or not, this is the most important route you're going to go today. That's too small. Now see the line? Yeah. Okay. This is for any grass. Okay, that worked. Okay, this is at the point where we had the cattle down, as you can see, and I wanted to start checking people out on the roping dummy, and I kind of knew who was what and who could rope well, and the horse I was sitting on, I was very well mounted. I felt good on that horse. So we wanted to start off just by showing a two-man doctoring scenario. Kind of cool to see these Hereford cattle. And that horse I'm riding is 20-some years old, I think.
No, I think he was 18.
Well, there you go. He's just a colt. So that's the kind of cattle we had to rope. And that's water. There, we came in, it was raining when we brought him in. But I had everybody leave the barn because you can see it's a pretty small area, but it's also a good place to, you know, to have a clinic. It was dry and there wasn't that many people. I don't do big clinics, as you know. What I'm trying to do is just get set up for him to rope. And Dee Dee, the guy that's roping, he was in Arizona on a ranch. He was over there by Wickiup. And he went to work for some outfit over there, and it's kind of one of the probably the toughest pieces of the West to cowboy in. And the guys he was with, I could tell by his stories that they were the typical ranchers around there that are really, really good at what they do. They were catching orejanos or wild cattle, and they were ranchers. And so he got in on the real deal, and it's kind of interesting to me to be around that Peach Springs country. That means he was with some really tough hands. So he got full immersion, I guess is the best way to put it. But he loved it. He had a good time.
He got to cook for him too, I think.
He said that he said they sit down and they open up a can for a meal. He said, I've never seen that before, so I offered to cook.
So he was very popular.
So they said, heck yeah. So they took him up on it. And then I put my Western bit on his horse, and because he didn't get the concept real well of collection, and I wanted him to use that bit, so I put that on him, and it really made a difference for him with his horse just staying calm and everything. But he's a good hand. I mean, he made that horse I was on, and that was his dad's horse he loaned me, so it was real nice. And as you can tell, it was my kind of a clinic. It wasn't a big hurry or nothing. And you can tell he's roped some, he's practiced, he's been involved. And I told him, I said, you know, we're doing a two-man duo here, so I'm going to let the rope slip down on the right front, you catch the right hind. And we just kind of walked through it. And it was different for him. He wasn't used to this kind of roping. But anyway, that's, no, he had 2 feet. anyway, we're just kind of waiting for things to come together. And that's and I wanted everybody to watch him do everything.
Oh no, I was wrong.
And so there you go. That's the two-man doctrine. And as you can tell, I let him do most of the work, and that way he pulled it down by the hind legs. This is, as you know, this is a way of handling cattle, the polite way. And the cattle over there are pretty gentle anyway. It's not like they're a bunch of long-eared Bramers. It makes for good teaching. But everybody was very respectful, and they were very interested in how things were done. And another little trivia of that country, if you look around, you'll notice they've got a lot of access to good wood. They've got sawmills like we used to have when I was a kid all over the country, so you can get rough-cut lumber, and they use a lot of it on that outfit. So that was real nice to see that they still have some sawmills going. But there's the two-man doctrine, and what we tried to cover in this clinic was the 3-man, 2-man, and 1-man. And it's kind of a small barn for the 1-man, but we got the 3-man done.
Quiet rope.
And everybody, you'll see the level of ropers. They're from beginner all the way to Dee Dee here. So it was fun. And you notice his horse starting to bridle up a little bit too. I wanted him to make sure those hind feet were off the ground. That way I could tie it down. I like the hind feet at least a foot off the ground before I get off and do anything.
I think the whole point of the clinic, what they wanted to learn, if I'm not mistaken, is they wanted to learn how you would do things if you were working on a ranch. This didn't have to do with a competition or anything like that, so it was just real practical ways of handling cattle.
That's right. They kept saying, how would you do it if you were on a ranch? So I said, okay, I'll show you. So that's what we did. And they have pink eye problems there. Their vaccine they get is about a 60% quality. So we took them some glue, because of all things they couldn't get any eye patch glue. And that kind of made me laugh. But anyway, we took a tube of glue with us over there, like that sale barn glue, so they could put patches on their cattle. And that meant the world to them. It's funny how all the little things help.
The one thing that they couldn't get. Now I want to mention also about this particular horse, you'll see a scar on his right hip. And he's blind in his right eye, which happened before he got the scar on his right hip. And I guess a cow gored him pretty bad. And that horse is still as trusting as ever. Anyway, I just loved that horse. He was a really good one. I think his name was Moon.
Well, they've done their time. You can tell they've put the hours in and trying to make good horses. They've got a real love for the Western way of doing things. And several of the people that we met through the clinics have been to the United States. And of course, there's been a lot of clinicians gone to Europe, and a lot of them have been in France. So Dee Dee and our other sponsor have both been around a lot of people.
We really lucked out too, is that there was people who spoke really fluent English. There was one man at this place who had worked as a UPS man in the United States. And he was really cool and helpful. And then our friend Ifik, he translated for us through both clinics, and you'll see him on and off here. This is where Pat was taking the coils off real slow so that it wouldn't disturb the cow. Everybody gets in a hurry and pops things around and wonders why the cattle get up.
They were interested in the quiet rope. That was impressive to them, to see how quiet you could be, and it had to be. Well, here we go. This is the biggest steer they had. He's crowding 1,200. May not look like him. He's a big steer. I think he's 2.5 years old or something. And that'll be they sell beef, grass-fed beef. So this steer was going to be the next one that they would cut and wrap, and they've got them sold to neighbors, and they've got quite a clientele actually that likes the beef. And what I was telling them was that when I rope a big animal, I usually try to rope behind foot instead of around the neck, so I don't have to choke them down. And out in the pasture, if I have to rope a bull, I just rope a hind leg and I just keep going in a circle. And after a while, they lay down. And after a while, it could be 2 hours. I don't care. But if I'm in a place where if I rope around the neck and I end up in the brush or over a bank or something, it's just not real smart. So if I've got open country, which a lot of people don't have any open country, then this is how I prefer to do it. Well, also, because of the clinic situation, I knew that I had a committee, as you can see them lined up there. And so I just was settling things and showing them how to put your coils on the neck so your horse doesn't get slapped. And talking about how it happens, because they keep wanting to know, if you were on a ranch, what would you be doing? They're real interested in that. So all I did was settle this big steer, and then I told them everybody's going to rope a foot and we're going to lay it down. Which is what I've done. If I ever had a crew with me, and it's the easiest way to do it is to get everybody to grab a leg, and then you just kind of bed them down, and you can half hitch the front feet and back feet together if you want. But once again, I can't say enough about how good we're mounted. And the little black and white horse in the back there, I got to talk about that horse. That girl, she never said a word. Of course, it was all French if she would have said it, but she was the one that you wouldn't expect it, but she roped really well, and she caught a lot, and she knew what to do. It was really cool. The guy in the end down there, he's worked for that Disney Wild West show for years, so he's been to the United States, and he's been involved with horses and cowboying a lot over there. So it was pretty nice to get to meet him. And as you can see, I just want to keep shaping things up, so you can watch it and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now I kept quartering that horse because he's a one-eyed horse, and I don't typically turn a horse that way, but I didn't want to go straight on all the time with that horse because his right eye is no good. It ain't like you see here. They left the eyeball in. Now here they pull them and then sew it shut, but this one, I didn't want him getting hurt or scared, so I went ahead and did it sideways because I knew they were gentle cattle anyway. I wouldn't do that outside. I'd stay facing so I don't jerk my saddle off my horse, but as you can see, this critter's just fine. So just enjoy the show.
I think that girl on the paint horse, you were making fun of her hat.
Oh, that's right. It was pitiful.
She just kept right on wearing it.
She didn't care. She wasn't real impressed with me, so
I don't think she
matter.
was. We really liked her, though.
Nobody whined. I mean, it was just, they came there to rope, and that's what we did. And the lady on the horse next to her, it's another black and white horse. She was a good hand. I mean, she had that horse handling. She did. I think to me, it was the brokest horse there. Best well trained.
Oh, very good.
Pascal came down and roped with us in Brittany, and then we went to his place in Normandy the next week.
Now he knows the Newbert family.
And he has teams too, right?
Well, he's drove horses a lot. Him and I hit it right off the bat because he knows how to drive. I've never drove more than a team, but he's drove 5 head, 3, 2, 1, whatever, and he's good at it. And he got to show me the harness from World War I. That was American harness that ended up in his grandpa got it. So that was pretty neat.
His place is interesting in that he's got a riding school that was built in an old train depot, so it's a pretty cool facility. Now the place where we're at in Brittany, it's old stone buildings, and they're only 200 years old or so, but the rock, apparently they keep reusing it, was from like a castle from like 1200 or something.
Just a little
so
to give your horse a break.
they're new buildings are older than our old buildings, as usual.
They just added that metal barn onto it, put a lot of skylights in it.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So
Now,
they
back
spend
or
a lot
front,
of time
or does it
indoors
matter?
because it rains all the time there, which coming from our country, we're not real
careful,
used to that.
Bob.
I guess that's why they have all the green
Walk
grass.
right up there and lay a trap.
That was a nice
He's
little
bound to
trap.
move.
Yeah, that's pretty nice line-backed horse, I'll tell you.
So Pascal has a foot, you have a hind foot. Now Dee Dee's about to get a hind foot, I think. Because of course, nobody misses when I'm editing the videos.
Okay, right towards me. Come here, leave your rope there. Okay, get ready.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
It's called Merry Christmas. I told him, I said, you should go to the house right now after throwing that shot. Merry Christmas.
You have to be flexible.
that's pretty cool.
But, you know, everybody knows everything's fair in the corral. Whatever you get, you take.
Now here's our friend Ifik. I think he's going to save the day.
If you back up, you have nowhere to go.
And this Ifik, he was our
There.
interpreter, one of them. And he's involved with the great big ferry that goes from France to England. He works for the company that owns the ferries. And he's got a really interesting job. You know, he runs a crew, and he said their biggest thing is safety, meaning fire. You can imagine 1,300 people on a ferry and have it catch on fire. And all the things to keep the engines running. I mean, it's, as you can imagine, with a big giant boat with a whole bunch of
Valley.
people on it, you break down,
Valley.
you just don't call it wrecker. So he's really on top of it about
Everybody
the engine
back up
room and
slow.
everything.
Slow.
Everything on the ferry that has to do with making it run, he's involved with. And over there, they work so long and then they get a lot of time off. And they got it kind of figured out. And he had time off to come to these clinics, and then after we left, he had a couple of days of work, then he was off again. So they're a little sharper than we are on the, but he's, you know, the
Work-life balance, I think is what they're calling it these days.
work-life balance. Anyway, our outfit, you got to quit to get a day off.
Now Ifik, he drove us from Brittany to
Follow
Normandy.
Pat.
He showed us his family farm and took us out to a really nice meal on the ocean. And anyway, it's pretty cool. Now all these horses are there's a lot of older horses here. And I think Ifik's mare is like 18, isn't she?
Yeah.
Now leave your rope on the ground.
But for those of you that have an imagination, this kind of relates to the rope and the grizzly bear. I told him,
There's Pat's over the rope. He always likes to ride over the rope.
I just told him, lay your rope on the ground, I'll go over it, and then I was going to roll the critter on his side. You see it going across the rib cage.
You good? Okay. Good night, my love.
But they like to rope like I do, slow and methodical.
Well, you work by the month.
Now loosen your ropes. Loosen your leg.
And because they're not performance ropers, rodeo isn't an item over there, then the entire crowd is not going
10?
against the
Everybody
clock
has
for
10?
speed. They don't think that
Except
way.
for Ifik. 9.5, still good.
I know Buster McCleary talked about in Texas how his dad, when he was growing up, said, hurry every
Otherwise,
chance
we
you
would
get.
have to start looking.
Well, that's a cultural thing. That's just the way it's done there.
And I really wanted to edit this so that you guys could see pretty much start to finish what was going on. And I think the total time from start to finish was like 23 minutes. And I know it's in a small space, but it just wasn't that long. Except for right now.
No, fishing's fair anywhere in the world. I don't know if you got to have a license over there or not, but I'm just picking up trapping feet's all I'm doing. And you know, in my career, I've done this exact same thing in the middle of nowhere. Once one's laid on the ground, he's done. You know, you can just kind of fiddle around until you get what it is you're after.
The whole thing.
So I picked up 2 hind feet. If it's going to come time down. And once again, I mean, look how nice these horses just kind of hang out. There's a few borderline wrecks, but nothing life-threatening. There's your slab wood from the sawmill. When I was a little kid, I grew up in Coarse Gold out of Yosemite, and some of you know where that is. And we had a sawmill in North Fork, or excuse me, in Oakhurst. And there's one in North Fork too, but the closest one to us was Oakhurst. Accident. So I grew up around logging. I did a lot of insurance. I had them tie the feet together a lot just because for safety, and cattle know when they're tied down. They know.
Easy, easy, good. Just make the loop big.
It was probably 65, 70 degrees there. It was nice weather.
Yeah, it rained for a couple of days, and then we had a couple of days of really nice sunshine.
No, just make it big. No, just.
It's just beautiful. Oh, and while Ifik is working on that steer, I wanted to thank Allison and her mother. They were the chefs at this place.
Oh, man.
Oh, and Dee Dee's father, he was part of that. And Fab.
Fab, too. Talk about good food. Man, oh, man.
We had beef burgundy.
They know how to eat.
We had crepes.
2 hands.
We had French fries, of course. Just every single meal was wonderful.
And there's no such thing as fast food over there.
No, there's not.
It is not going to be fast. I don't care if you're holding roe deer or waiting on irons. It's not going to be fast.
Nope.
You eat for a couple hours.
And they keep bringing stuff. You think you're done, but you're not. And so you just have to pace yourself, I think is what we learned, if anything.
Anyway, that's the biggest steer he had right there. Here was a situation where I started letting guys that wanted to head go ahead and head. And Eric here is a good student. He figured out that you didn't need 2 coils with a loop to throw 12 feet. So he kind of self-taught. And luckily, I think he caught a front leg, so that was good. But what I had to do is that he got in trouble earlier in the day because he didn't have the concept of sliding rope down, and his horse was getting frustrated because it couldn't pull the cattle. Because as you can tell, they're pretty gentle. And it's like dragging an anvil around. So he agreed to cut the rubber off his horn. I got a horn wrap for him, and then I put my bit on his horse because his horse just had its head on upside down. And if you'll notice, Eric's hand is pretty high. That's kind of how he rides. And the bit he had on was not working. So he was a lot happier once he figured out. He see him watching there. He's figuring out how to slide rope now. And he told me in English, he says, I watch and see and I can learn. So that's how he figured things out. And I know you guys that punch cows, you noticed his jacket on the back of his saddle. I had to take his jacket off and roll it up and tie it correctly. Because he did like everybody does. They just wad it up and have the sleeves hanging out and tie it to the back of the saddle. And there's a lot of us that just can't gives you a rash to see it. So I tied his jacket up for him. But I started stepping out of the picture so everybody could rope. And by the time that the clinic was over, Eric, he was trying to steal that bit from me, and I said, I just can't do it. But you also figured out the back cinch. Watch, there's a reason why the back cinch needs to be tight. So there you go. There's a couple of guys in France roping.
Is it Caroline?
The documentary that the gallery was really bad. The lady ripped everybody off. They had 20 guys on the grass. Put the foot on the ground. Thank you. 25 guys doing this, you're roping. You guys get tired with you. Roping here. It was fun.
Yes, good. Ah. Oh, she's good.
Yeah, straight line, straight line.
How come you guys aren't as good? Give her a minute. All right, Eric. Oh, very nice. Would you ever thought yesterday that this could happen?
Very nice, very well done.
We're so proud. We're like parents. Our little children are going to be okay.
What are you fucking doing to my feet?
If I could get to you right now.
That's what I thought he was saying. That's not a square. Donc, le signal, si tu veux, tu vas donner une appui décomposée, tu ne peux pas amener le cheval à se placer, tu vois, donc le travail, ça peut se faire.
Non, non, Pipoune. Oui, ça fait des crêpes.
A little, like a little rake.
Parce que j'aime beaucoup amener de l'incubation, regarder. Le cheval regarde là où il va, et tout ça. J'aime pas trop les chevaux trop droits. J'aime bien avoir un petit peu de flexion dans un rouping.
Elle est un peu...
Quand je travaille plus droit,
Il y a un peu
quand t'as moins d'erreur,
j'en ai un qui est spécial, mais tu
peux, mais quand tu vas faire
Wow. Ta-da! More butter.
Yes. Because it's good and because it avoids crabs to stick on the plate.
Okay.
So the first one is for you then. Do you want the egg sunny side up or scrambled?
Scrambled.
Scrambled. Like me.
So this is like a burrito.
Yes. The fork was missing. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Put some cheese.
Very beautiful. Oh, and the ham. It's a burrito. Better than a burrito.
You'll tell me.
I'll make you a burrito when you come and visit. Oh, Well, thank you very much.
Well, then, as you can see, we got the weather cleared up.
Got two.
And their soil's not too bad. You can
Now
see
you got-
standing water back there
you
in
got
places,
two.
but it was good. And we put the whole herd and kind of rodeered them, and so
Did you get
people
the
had
right
more
one?
room to move around,
Oh, good.
and it was great. And once again, if you'll notice, which I know you already did, is that
saves
they
time to
really
rope
manage
trees.
their forests over there. The type of trees, the age of the trees, the logging operation,
Good
how
job.
it's done, and it kind of is impressive how they've managed all that timber in that country. And they've got some hardwood trees too, so I like to see that when I go somewhere. But everybody's involved by now, and everybody in the clinic has roped at least one or two, and now we're outside just. And I keep getting farther and farther away from everybody because I already know how to rope. I don't want them to rope. And they start working things out amongst themselves, and it's just pretty darn nice to see.
Yeah, it's always fun for me to watch people at the beginning of a clinic and just being absolutely terrified for them. And then at the end, they're out here handling their horses, handling their cattle. Pretty nice.
Indeed, he got his Arizona flag in the background back
I
there.
think he's got a California one too.
Does he?
Yep.
I gotta tell you,
No,
they
that's
like
Arizona. Yeah, Arizona and California.
they like the West. You know, they like the cowboy deal, and they know a lot about it. It's pretty darn impressive. They're good students.
Keep walking forward. There you go.
Now, something
There.
to know about Didi's ranch. I think it's called Didi Ranch because his name is Didier. But he actually has people come to his place and they ride and work cattle and they get to trail ride, and that's how they handle, because of course most of their ground is private land, so they don't have a lot of public lands to ride on. So somebody like Didi opening up his place and having people come to ride is really a good deal.
Yeah, they just had quite a few people just before we got there. They got these little kind of cabin-looking deals that people stay in, and they're just perfect. You know, they're comfortable and dry, and got all the amenities, and they're very practical people. Thank you, Dad. Pass to your left. You lift the hind leg. Yeah. Side pass to your right. Okay, you can take your rope off. Loose. On the ground? Yeah, drop everything on the ground. Come over here. That's the dream team. Come on, cowboys.
You want another? Oh, you don't need
I love
another
it when a
trick.
clan comes together. What do they say in Baja? Sometimes it's just your day.
That's right. Down there, if you win a competition, they say it was your day. If you don't win, it just wasn't your day. It's that simple. It's not like you're a hell of a hand. It's just the way it is, and they figured that out.
I think too, this final day with the whole herd and the arena and the bigger open space was a real nice final exam for people.
They had 30 goats around there that try to keep ahead of the weeds. I mean, it's nonstop, the growth of the plants around there. And them goats, they just kind of wander around wherever they want to be. It's pretty cool.
Well, they're goats. I guess you can't really tell them where to be, right?
Not too high. That's good.
I think it's come a long way too.
Yeah.
Easy.
His horse was light. I mean, really light. He did a good job.
I didn't know that you rode her.
No, I didn't. I watched him ride it, and he handled it really nice. There you go. This is in France. I got to remind you, folks.
Yeah.
These folks, they got it. They figured it out, and they enjoyed it. Because, you know, it's like watching a turtle die for most people. And I told them, I said, this is not going to be a fast cloud of dust. And they said, that's fine. That's what we want.
There's the crew.
There's the crew. It was a good deal.